Engagement between Muslims and others vital. Malaysia has potential to reclaim Asian tiger status. Salam Malaysia Madani, I'm Mohanapriya and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. Engagement between Muslims and others is necessary for fostering mutual understanding and avoiding the misunderstandings that lead to Islamophobia. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim stated that the West, even in the post-colonial period, still retains old precepts of the other, leading to misunderstanding, misinformation and the rejection of the other, which is termed Islamophobia.
How do you then survive and live in a society like a multiracial, multi-religious country in Malaysia and avoid discussing other religions, other cultures, other civilizations? And then demanding that the West must understand us. So I think it is an engagement that is required by us to get others to understand us and for us to understand them.
The Prime Minister also urged Muslims to understand the concept of sharing knowledge, learning and scholarship.
My contention is that we must have the courage and conviction to continue discourse, in the spirit of lazzatul ma'rifah, to understand and appreciate and realize that this is a requirement to achieve not only peace and prosperity or even sustainability through reasoned discourse.
Datuk Seri Anwar said this in his speech at the 7th World Conference on Islamic Thought and Civilization, WCIT, in Ipoh. The Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Shah, graced the conference. The completion of the upgrading project involving a 1.4-kilometre stretch of the connected Jalan Tun Razak and Sultan Iskandar Expressway in the nation's capital has solved a traffic congestion issue in one of the city's congestion hotspots, according to Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Federal Territories, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa. In fact, she said with the additional lanes on both directions, traffic congestion in the area has now been reduced from 4 minutes to 1 minute.
Jumlah kenderaan yang masuk Kuala Lumpur secara amnya lebih kurang 1.7 juta kenderaan dan kalau waktu puncak sehingga 2.2 juta. Ini kajian yang dibuat oleh DBKL lah. Tapi dalam satu masa itu Kuala Lumpur dipenuhi dengan 6 juta kenderaan setiap hari. Jadi satu angka yang sangat besar lah. Sebab itu berlaku kesesakan di Kuala Lumpur ini, maka kita akan melaksanakan seperti projek seperti ini untuk membantu dari sudut mengurangkan kesesakan lalu lintas.
She was met after launching the completion of the project today. The 75 million ringgit road upgrading project, which began in June 2020, added a lane in both directions of Jalan Tun Razak, installed barriers to guide traffic flow and widened 5 bridge structures at several locations in the area. Dr. Zaliha said a survey will be carried out by Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL to see the feedback of road users to ensure that the people are satisfied with the improvement works that have been carried out. Construction work on the Light Rail Transit 3 or LRT3 from Bandar Utama to Johan Setia in Selangor has reached 95.6%. The line is expected to be operational in the third quarter of next year. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the construction work on the alignment, which includes the building of 20 stations, is expected to be completed this October. This will be followed by system integration work, which is expected to take several months until early next year. Met after inspecting the LRT3 project at the Pasar Jawa station in Klang, Loke said the cabinet meeting also agreed to reinstate the original scope of LRT3 involving 5 stations, namely Tropicana, Tamasha, Raja Muda, Bukit Raja and Bandar Botanic.
Jadi Kos keseluruhan untuk pengembalian skop LRT3 ini adalah berjumlah 3.8 bilion ringgit. 3.8 bilion ini termasuk kos pengembalian skop, kos infrastruktur, kos kerja sistem, termasuk pembelian rolling stock, kos kontraktor dan juga kos untuk membeli 150 buah bas elektrik bersama dengan pembinaan depo bas.
He added the reinstatement of the 5 stations demonstrates the government's commitment to continuously improve and promote the use of public transport, especially in the Klang Valley. The LRT3 project, which begins at Bandar Utama and ends at Johan Setia, is expected to cost approximately 16 billion ringgit. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadil today held bilateral talks with Singapore's Digital Development and Information Minister Josephine Teo, focusing on social media platform licensing. The one-hour discussion aimed to ensure a safe internet environment, particularly for families and children. Fahmi, who is on a 3-day working visit to Singapore, in a post on his Facebook account said that among the issues discussed during the meeting with Teo were the challenges and regulatory processes of social media in Singapore, which have been implemented over the past 2 years. He stated that it is not too late for Malaysia to ensure that social media providers are held accountable for criminal activities occurring on their platforms. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, on Saturday announced that all social media services and internet messaging services with at least 8 million registered users in Malaysia must apply for a class license beginning 1st of August as part of a new regulatory framework that will be introduced. Singapore has had a regulatory framework over social media platforms in the country since 2022. Phase 1A Borneo Sabah Highway expected to be completed by 2026. But first, Malaysia will become a high-income country from 2027 onwards if the national economy grows to 4 to 5% per year and the ringgit strengthens to around 4 ringgit 20 cent against the US dollar. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said if these targets can be achieved, Malaysia will be seen as a country with potential to indirectly allow it to become an Asian tiger again. Rafizi also said Malaysia's prospect as an Asian tiger also needs to be based on the country's availability in future economic sectors, including in terms of the sustainability of the country's energy sector as well as data center growth.
Dan untuk jadi harimau, kita perlu tumpu kepada sektor bernilai tinggi seperti penciptaan dan reka bentuk chip. Tapi kalau kita tengok dalam banci ekonomi tadi, macam saya sebut, syarikat yang mereka bentuk chip di Malaysia ni masih lagi boleh kira dengan jari. Jadi itu membolehkan kita sebagai kerajaan memastikan bahawa dasar-dasar dan program untuk tempoh 5 tahun akan datang memberi tumpuan kepada sektor-sektor sebegini, kerana tidak cukup dengan memaklumkan kepada ekonomi kita perlu tumpu yang itu, kita perlu masuk ke sini, tapi kalau perkembangan dari segi sektor swasta itu tidak padan dengan perancangan kerajaan, kita akan ketinggalan.
The minister was met after the launch of the 2024 economic census findings by the Department of Statistics Malaysia. He also stressed that the function of the census is important and that it becomes a yardstick for the government to formulate targets that will be included in the 13th Malaysia Plan. And on another matter, Rafizi said the government is focusing on enabling more people to benefit from the People's Income Initiative project, the Agricultural Entrepreneur Initiative, or IPR Inan. So far, 1,100 acres of government-owned land nationwide has been opened up for modern agricultural infrastructure under IPR Inan. Speaking in the Senate, Rafizi said the ministry is also looking into adding more land for the IPR Inan projects with suitable terms and agreements to ensure government allocations and investments are protected.
Kebimbangan saya contohnya, kalau kita terlalu memudahkan sehingga kita tidak mengambil kira perkara-perkara terutamanya melibatkan pemilikan, itu akan membolehkan pihak-pihak tertentu akan mengambil kesempatan melalui tindakan undang-undang dan sebagainya. Ada faktor-faktor yang unik di Sarawak, sebagainya juga di Sabah. Perkara ini sedang diperhalusi.
In response to query about the high premiums imposed on government land, Rafizi explained that the modern agricultural infrastructure requires millions of ringgit in capital and several harvest cycles before the large-scale ventures can be optimized.
Jadi sebab itu di Kementerian Ekonomi apabila kita membangunkan Intan, kita telah pun melihat kekangan-kekangan dan kegagalan-kegagalan yang lepas apabila tanah-tanah diberikan kepada usahawan tetapi mereka tidak ada modal untuk membangunkannya, akhirnya sama ada tanah itu terbiar ataupun tanah itu disap-sap kepada orang.
Thus, Rafizi said the government has adopted a better approach where federal and state lands are allocated for a 5-year term to develop infrastructure and create jobs on the site. The Digital Ministry proposes to establish a Malaysian Data Commission to enable adequate frameworks and policies to be developed to protect the people's data and promote the use of data centres in the country. Minister Gobind Singh Deo said to establish the commission, the ministry plans to amend the Personal Data Protection Act 2010, which is expected to be tabled in Parliament next March or middle of next year.
Kalau kita lihat kepada teknologi baru, banyak daripada teknologi ini akan bersandarkan kepada AI dan Gen AI. Dan kita semua sedia maklum bahawa aspek yang paling penting untuk menjayakan teknologi ini adalah data. Itu sebab kerajaan telah pun membuat fokus membawa pelaburan besar khususnya data center dan sebagainya. Dan kita lihat pelaburan daripada Google, daripada Microsoft, daripada ByteDance dan sebagainya dan jumlah pelaburan cukup besar.
According to Gobind, Malaysia currently has a data committee and commissioner.
Jadi apa yang saya hendak memfokuskan adalah kita akan menggunakan platform jawatankuasa dulu. Kita akan membangunkan jawatankuasa itu dan bergerak ke depan. Kita akan mencadangkan kepada kerajaan supaya jawatankuasa itu dijadikan suruhanjaya supaya ianya dapat memfokuskan lebih kepada aspek-aspek data.
The minister was met after the signing ceremony of a cooperation agreement between Digital Nasional Berhad (DNB) and Cybersecurity Malaysia to enhance cybersecurity of Malaysia's 5G networks. The work progress of Phase 1A of the Borneo Sabah Highway is now 77.41% and is expected to be completed by 2026 at the latest, according to Public Works Minister Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalinggi. He said work on Phase 1A of the highway involved 15 packages, of which 4 have been completed.
Saya nampak ada sedikit sebanyak masalah koordinasi di antara syarikat ataupun kontraktor dan agensi kerajaan dan konsultan juga. Masing-masing ada kelemahan. Jadi saya dah mengharapkan ini, saya dah bincang dengan Menteri KK Sabah, Raja Shalwi, supaya ini kita tangani dan supaya mesyuarat koordinasi ini kerap diadakan.
He said this in a press conference after surveying the work progress of Phase 1A of the Sabah-Borneo Highway in Penampang today. Earlier, he visited the site of the construction of the highway stretch at Sindumin Kampung Melalia, Beaufort and Putatan Inana. On claims that the progress of the highway project was slow due to a shortage of funds, he said it was because the contractors failed to submit complete documents when making their claims. Regarding Phase 1B of the highway project, Datuk Sri Alexander said it was in the tender process. The Senate was told today that at least 5 or 6 countries have asked Malaysia to become an ASEAN space agency. In fact, Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Mohamad Hassan said those countries also wanted Malaysia to be the satellite launch centre, even though the establishment of the ASEAN Space Agency is still in the planning stage.
Kita belum lagi pilih negeri tempatnya di mana, tapi ada 5-6 negara telah minta supaya Malaysia menjadi sebagai pusat pelancaran satelit ke angkasa lepas di negara kita. Ini akan kita bincang dengan kementerian-kementerian, agensi-agensi yang berkenaan sebelum dibawa ke kabinet untuk kita pastikan ia dapat direalisasikan.
The minister was replying to a question whether the government would consider the proposed establishment of the ASEAN Space Agency when it takes over the ASEAN chairmanship in 2025. On whether the presence of ASEAN countries in BRICS will also be discussed during the ASEAN summit next year, Datuk Seri Mohamad said it depends on the member countries involved. The minister, however, did not deny that the new economic bloc was the best platform for Malaysia to speak out, considering the population and gross domestic product or GDP value of its member countries is greater than ASEAN's. On a related note, the government has proposed that Sarawak becomes Malaysia's hub for the aerospace industry. According to Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz, the proposal was one of the discussion points during the Sarawak Industry Coordination Joint Committee meeting in Kuching today. The minister said Sarawak has shown great potential in the industry, especially in the commitment to produce skilled workers for the sector. In terms of geography, Sarawak's location is excellent as it is close to Indonesia's capital, Nusantara, near Korea, Japan and even Australia. The meeting was also attended by Sarawak Deputy Premier, who is also its International Trade, Industry and Investment Minister, Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan. Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul said the proposal to develop a new international airport in Kuching, as well as the establishment of a Sarawak-owned airline, could also help the development of the aerospace industry in Bumi Kenyalang. He said his ministry, via the Malaysian National Aerospace Industry Corporation, will also work with Sarawak in achieving the development agenda for the industry. KPMG in Malaysia launched the government's announcement to allow flexibility for taxpayers to issue consolidated e-invoicing for the first 6 months from the date of mandatory e-invoicing. Now, the accounting firm said this is a timely concession as the latest survey has shown that taxpayers are still working through their e-invoicing transition challenges. KPMG in Malaysia head of tax So Lian Singh said this development will provide taxpayers with a much-needed breathing room to ensure the transition to e-invoicing can be completed with minimal impact on operations. This is further evidence that the government is listening to the voice on the ground and is willing to support taxpayers in this national momentum towards greater tax governance. The market survey is so referred to was conducted by the professional services firm from the 1st to the 8th of July, which gathered insights from more than 200 respondents, comprising large taxpayers and small and medium enterprises. Now, the survey found that a majority of large taxpayers with annual revenues exceeding 100 million ringgit are not fully ready for their e-invoicing implementation by the 1st of August, while over 3/4 of SMEs are less than 50% ready for e-invoicing. Gross domestic product growth is projected to reach the upper end of Bank Negara Malaysia's 4 to 5% target in 2024. According to CIMB Treasury and Markets Research, this follows a 5.8% year-on-year increase in the advance GDP estimate for the second quarter of 2024. CIMB cited factors such as resilient labour market, robust household spending, ongoing multi-year investments, increased foreign direct investment realisation, trade recovery and improving tourism as key contributors. Additionally, the ringgit has outperformed its peers as coordinated actions have moderated pressure from rate differentials, global developments and geopolitical risks. Meanwhile, CIMB highlighted that Malaysia is directing liquidity towards investments to stimulate growth. The bank in a note said today that the government-linked investment companies are poised to allocate between 400 billion ringgit and 500 billion ringgit into investments over the next 5 years. These investments are crucial for developing incentives and regional ecosystems such as the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, Forest City and various industrial park projects. They will also facilitate matching funding with projects and extend foreign direct investments benefits through onshore supply chains. New regulations to attract foreign investors to Nusantara finalised. President Joko Widodo Jokowi announced the completion of a new regulation designed to attract more foreign investors to Nusantara, reports the Antara News Agency. During a visit to the new capital city on Sunday, he said that there have been 300 letters of intent from foreign investors for Nusantara's development. He said the government will later invite interested foreign investors to inspect the development progress in Nusantara.
Ini pekerjaan besar, menyangkut rentang waktu yang bisa 10 tahun, 15 tahun, 20 tahun. Ini bukan pekerjaan hanya setahun, 2 tahun. Banyak berpikir, kita ini ngejar-ngejar. Enggak, kita ini nggak ngejar-ngejar pekerjaan itu sesuai dengan progres yang ada.
Additionally, Jokowi has signed a presidential regulation that provides incentives for prospective investors participating in building services and facilities in Nusantara. These incentives include guarantees of certainty of the term of land rights, such as the right to cultivate, which is granted for up to 190 years. Jokowi said this regulation aims to attract as much investment as possible from both domestic and foreign investors. In recent months, Jokowi has broken ground on schools, office complexes and promised foreign investment. But years after announcing his signature project, intended to ease the burden on the traffic-ridden, polluted, sinking and overpopulated Jakarta, zero foreign funding has been committed. Scorching temperatures swept Japan on Monday due to high pressure systems, with multiple regions topping 40 degrees Celsius for the first time this year. The Japan Meteorological Agency and the Environment Ministry had issued a heat stroke alert for 38 of the nation's 47 prefectures. Monday's temperatures came close to Japan's highest recorded temperature at 41.1 degrees Celsius, which was reached in Kumagaya, Saitama Prefecture, on 23rd July 2018, and in Hamamatsu on the 17th of August 2020. The Meteorological Agency and Environmental Ministry's heat stroke alert covered the prefectures of Fukushima, Ibaraki, Tochigi, Gunma, Saitama and Tokyo, and parts of Kagoshima, among other locations. For Tuesday, heat stroke alerts have been issued for 30 prefectures. The alerts advise residents to stay indoors, use air conditioning, stay hydrated, and consume a sufficient amount of salt. They also stress that extra care is needed to prevent the elderly and young children from developing heat stroke. Tang Ji Yiwei stunned China's world number 2. Stay with us.
Meraihkan acara sukan terbesar dunia, segala perjuangan, aksi dan pencapaian terkini dirangkumkan dalam Sorotan Harian Sukan Olimpik Paris 2024 dibawakan sepanjang 28 Julai hingga 12 Ogos 10 pagi di saluran OK dan saluran Sukan RTM. Bersama RTM, penyiar rasmi. Meraihkan semasa sukan terulung dunia. 6 saluran khas Olimpik RTM Klik di pautan Paris 2024.rtm.gov.my sepanjang 27 Julai hingga 12 Ogos, walau di mana sahaja. Dengan lebih 12 jam siaran setiap hari, Paris 2024.rtm.gov.my, aksi sukan terbesar dunia. Segalanya tersedia di sini. Bersama RTM, penyiar rasmi.
Some updates from Paris. The Malaysian badminton squad created another major upset at the Paris Olympic Games 2024 when mixed doubles pair Chen Tangji To Yiwei beat world number 2 Feng Yangzi Huang Dongping of China today. Their 17-21, 21-15, 21-16 win in 70 minutes at the Porte de la Chapelle Arena made the Malaysians Group D champions and promised them an easier path in the quarterfinals. After losing the first game, the world number 9 Tang Ji Yiwei rocked the 8,000-strong crowd with a scintillating performance in the next two to clinch victory. Dongping, who captured the gold in the 2021 Tokyo Games with previous partner Wang Yil-yu, was the hot favourite to win the match with Yang Jie, but Tang Ji Yiwei tore apart the form book. It was the world number 9 pair's second win over Yangzi Dongping in 4 meetings and first success this year.
Kita kena keluarkan lah. Kita jangan macam simpan dalam lah. Ya, kita bukan apa lah. Tapi memang tak mau simpan dalam hati lah. Mau keluarkan kita. Semalam kita punya psikologis ada, kita dua ada cakap dengan each other. Kita body language dengan fighting spirit kena keluarkan lah. Ya.
In the quarterfinal knockout stage, Tang Ji Yiwei will meet one of the group runners-up, with the draw expected to be made tomorrow after all the doubles group matches have been completed. And in other news, at the badminton camp, men's doubles world number 4 Aaron Chia Sowo Yik on Sunday guaranteed themselves a top 2 finish in Group A, securing a place in the quarterfinals of the Paris Olympics. This comes after top seeds and world number 1 Liang Wei-keng Wang Chang of China also clinched their second victory against Britain's Ben Lane Sean Vendy. Aaron Wu-yik defeated Canada's world number 32 Neil Yakura Adam Dong at 21-10, 21-15 in just 38 minutes. Aaron Wu-yik and Wei-keng Wang Chang will clash on Monday to decide the group's winners. Even though they've ensured their progression to the knockout stage, it remains crucial for Aaron Wu-yik to emerge as Group A winners. Winning the group would boost not only their morale significantly, but also place them on top of the upper half of the draw. And that's it from us this evening. In our top story, Malaysia has the potential to reclaim Asian tiger status. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Mohana Priya. Thank you for your company.